Greetings, my excellent friend.
Welcome to Heavy Metal
History.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of Heavy Metal History, the podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Dustin, and joining me all the way from Australia is Matt. And joining us once again is the other Matt, Matt Solis. That is, if you listen to our King Diamond episode, you would remember him, I'm sure. Welcome back.
Hello, hi. I'm glad to be back. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
So I guess it's going to be different this time around now that you're on more so as a guest, I suppose, even though you were a guest last time. We're going to get a little more into music that you want to talk about, as well as your band's new album coming out soon.
Yeah. Thanks. Last time was fun. Got to talk about Racer X and the greatness that is Abigail, but glad to be on talking about my own shit.
And of course, Manowar, even though I'm the one in the minority on that one.
How could I forget Manowar?
Yes. Yes.
Cool, man. So I guess getting right into it, let's talk about some albums that influenced you as not only as a guitar player, but like stuff that got you into metal.
Okay, yeah, stuff that got me into metal. Well, I remember very clearly the first time that I got into like harder music was in 7th grade. This dude, I think his name was Scott, he was in my math class, and we would always talk about music, and I was kind of into like, I grew up in, the 90s, so I was into like Silverchair and like Alice in Chains. The kind of mid-90s like rock stuff, Soundgarden, rest in peace, Chris Cornell.
Yes.
But this dude in my math class, we got to talking about music, and he was into the harder stuff. And one day he brought in Far Beyond Driven, Pantera, and told me to listen to it. So I took it home, and it like scared the crap out of me because it starts off with that, it's like that record kicks off pretty heavy. So I was like, I was kind of scared to listen to it, but. As it happens with most metal, it started to grow on me the more that I forced myself to listen to it, I guess. And then it was just no turning back from there. I got into Metallica really heavily after that. First, the Black Album, just because that was like, it was on the radio all the time when I was growing up, and Enter Sandman and all those songs were really... appealed to me because I had just started to play guitar as well around that time. I was like 11, I guess.
Damn.
But when I went to go buy the Black Album at my local, I guess it must have been like Blockbuster Music or some bullshit back then when there were actually CD stores, the guy kind of made fun of me. He was like, "Oh, you want to listen to this Metallica? No, dude, you need to listen to this." And he made me buy Master of Puppets.
Wow.
Which was like, I don't know. Looking back, that was some pretty good salesmanship to like get $10 more out of like a little kid. But
no, I agree. He definitely one-upped you a little bit on that too.
He did. He upsold me, but he also started me down the path of righteousness, because obviously Master of Puppets, one of the best albums ever. So I was really into that stuff when I was growing up and also playing guitar at the same time.
It's funny, man, and I actually really love this. I want to start taking tally when we have guests on of how many of them cite Metallica as like their initial influence into like what they started listening to and what got them into guitar playing, because we have definitely had Ride the Lightning a couple times. We've had And Justice for All a couple times, and Master of Puppets now. So this is this has been a theme.
Yeah, in addition to that, you want to get like how many people were in Metallica and what was the album. So I think you'll be in the Master of Puppets category. So we got one for them.
It kind of depends on when you grew up. Obviously, Master of Puppets came out when I was like 3, but I got it when I was like 12 or whatever.
I think if we have anyone that says Reload, that was the album that did it for me.
Oh man, I don't know if I'd be able to talk to that person. No, I'm kidding.
Well, this new record, I was really influenced by Lulu on this new record. Just so you know.
It's funny, I was just reading an article about that record that, like, the quote was like, if the band recorded acoustic Primus songs, it would still be better than what they had on Lulu or some shit like that. That was like the overall gist of it. I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
Or no, oh sorry, it was if the Red Hot Chili Peppers recorded acoustic Primus songs, it would still be better than the Lulu record.
I think I'm inclined to agree with that. I would probably want to listen to that instead.
Yeah, that is definitely a huge stain on Metallica's like entire discography. I don't know what they were thinking, especially after Death Magnetic.
Yeah, it's like sometimes you lose your way as a musician, but you think you're doing the right thing, and I don't fault them. They totally lost me for a long period of my life, but I actually really liked that last record that they put out.
Hardwired. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good. I was listening to it kind of surprised, like, wow, this is actually, like, the riffs are interesting and, like, the performances are decent. Like, I'm not going to, like, listen to it all the time, but I definitely thought it was way better than anything they've done in, recent memory.
I am inclined to agree. Yeah, it was a nice little surprise. Like, it definitely wasn't like, old Metallica that everybody wants, but it was still... It was them kind of, like, trying to get back to that.
There was enough there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They seem like a band that's, like, heavily influenced by, or not influenced, but they kind of take cues from what's happening around them, like, musically. So,
oh yeah, like it's funny. I was actually watching some kind of monster about like a couple of weeks ago, and it's like that album came around at the time like when nu metal was good, and then there was that part where Kirk Hammett was saying, "Oh no, I don't want to do any solos or anything like that." And if you look at nu metal, like it really didn't have any solos back in the day, and then that's what the production value was like. So yeah, they really kind of just go with kind of the trends that are around at the time, and I want to do something more in depth about Sananga, so let's just we'll put that in put a pin in that.
Yeah, please.
But yeah, that's I just found that to be quite fascinating.
Yeah, it's totally true, but I'll always, whatever they do, I'll always be grateful for them being sort of my gateway into heavy music. Like you said, a lot of people, that's what they started with, because those first 4 albums are regarded as classics for a reason. They're really heavy, and like they have all the characteristics of what we expect from the heavy metal sound and aesthetic, but they also have like a really good sense of melody and like songwriting. So that is always going to be a recipe for crossing over to like people who wouldn't normally listen to it, and that's how they got me as a kid. So like it worked.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. It's say what you will about like their entire discography and everything, but if you look at the early stuff, man, I know everybody like wants that Metallica back, but you can't.
You already have it.
Yeah, we not only do we already have it, but you can't deny like how fucking good and ahead of the time a lot of those songs were, and I just know, like, every time I listen to any of those songs off those first few albums, it's just like, oh, fuck yes. Like, they age really well, actually, is what I meant. Not that they don't. They do age really well. Like, I can still listen to any of those songs and be fucking just as pumped as, like, anything new that's going to come out. Like, I am fucking down to listen to old Metallica whenever.
Yeah, it's definitely a high benchmark for the genre, 100%.
Yeah. And so you said you got into Reinventing the Steel by Pantera, correct?
Far Beyond Driven.
Far Beyond Driven, sorry, yeah, okay. So
I was like 5 minutes alone, and I'm broken.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that album was... It's funny because you know that they had like 2 different record covers for that album, right?
I don't know if I knew that. This one is like the blue, like X-ray thing.
Yeah, that was like the censored cover. The original cover that they put out had like a dude's asshole with a drill going into it. Yeah. So,
that is amazing that they didn't get their record company didn't let them put that out. I can't believe that.
Oh, yeah, I can't as well. I'm listening to this now. What the hell?
It's pretty hard to find. If you're going to find an original, like some did get put out with that cover on it, and a lot of the reissues have that original cover on it now because people don't give a shit. But when it first came out, like it was like, oh, this is a guy getting sodomized by a drill. We can't have that. So then they put out the one with the skull and like the X-ray and everything, and it was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I got the one when my friend gave it to me. He just gave it to me in like a blank like CD case with just the CD. So I had no expectations of anything. I'd put it in and it just like annihilated my brain. I think it was particularly Dimebag's like guitar tone was very new to me.
Man.
Like, super like crunchy, but also a lot of detail because he was such a good player. That combination was something I'd never heard before, and obviously, you know, you hear it all over the place now and even before Dimebag. But that was for sure, especially because I was playing guitar, a new guitar player at the time. It was very like mind blowing to me because I didn't really know that was possible before, and then I heard him just squealing and like, you know, doing all these pinch harmonic riffs. I was like, what in the fuck is happening right now? But that like piqued my interest, and so I kept going from there.
I mean, I will say, man, his consistency with his guitar tone is like bar none. There's no other guitar player that really stays as consistent with what he sounded like. Maybe like, you know, LaRoque with King Diamond is like the only other person that really comes to mind that still sounds the same throughout all the albums. But even then, there's a couple albums that production-wise sound a little different. But man, most of the Pantera albums sound pretty like after like all their hair metal albums. Let's separate those for a little bit.
Come on, you don't like power metal? What's
No. I actually do enjoy some of that album. I'm not gonna lie. But once they kind of get into Cowboys and everything after that, the guitar tone is pretty spot on for their entire discography after that. Like it changes a little bit, but it's enough to where you know you're listening to Dimebag play that guitar. There's no doubt in your mind.
Yeah. I think a lot of that was he was really influenced by Eddie Van Halen, and Eddie Van Halen is the same way. You will never mistake a Van Halen song for anything else because Eddie has such a distinct guitar tone, and I gotta think that Dimebag was influenced by that, and you know, Dimebag has influenced who knows how many metal guitar players over the years that have the same approach. You know, it's all about kind of making yourself stand out as much as you can in this type of music.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the hard thing. Like it's few and far between, but like I will say every now and then, like I hear a band and I'm like, oh damn, that's a really good like guitar tone, or like that's something different or a little interesting, you know, than what is the norm. Like you can hear a lot of bands these days and you know, like that's like the cliche. Like let's take for instance a very malign genre that is deathcore. Pretty much all those bands, while I do enjoy a few of them as like guilty pleasures or just in general, like I enjoy them for whatever reason, a lot of them sound very similar. They have the same guitar tone. They play the same fucking breakdowns with like a different pattern. And it's just like, there's not really much difference between a lot of these bands. Even some death metal, you know, like if you get into like a lot of the, I guess, like the HM2 bands, you know, that's like a big thing still. A lot of those bands sound the same, like Black Breath and, you know, old Entombed. Obviously, Entombed is like the band that started, or not, wait, not Entombed. Entombed, right?
Yeah, well, they have the whole, you know, the Swedish death metal sound is with Unleashed and Grave and all those bands. But I know what you're saying, though. It's a weird thing with metal is either like you're either adhering to a genre for the specific reason of that, like you're a fucking death, like, you know, or a big thing that happens in is like Doom, where Doom bands will be like, we sound like Black Sabbath, everyone knows we sound like Black Sabbath, that's the fucking point. You know, like we're all in, like you're not gonna like blow my mind by telling me that you think I sound like Black Sabbath. I know we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
So there's that. and there's also the other side of it, which is like we need to be like so unique and have this guitar tone that people can immediately pick up on, and we need to like stand out from everyone else. So there's a weird like two paths that you can take. You can either be totally like loyal to the genre, or you can just like use the genre as a blueprint and like jump off to wherever you want to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about doom until you mentioned it, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, a lot of doom metal sounds pretty much the same, but that's kind of why I like it. Except for the really like super Sabbath worshipy bands, I'm kind of like, all right, I get it. I'd rather just listen to Black Sabbath still.
Yeah.
But the ones
I think we all.
Yeah, definitely. The ones that tend to go like a little heavier, even though they still sound like Sabbath, I'm like, all right, I'm in. But it's every genre has that problem, and we've talked about it a little bit. It's like those are the bands who aren't really trying to do anything new. They're just following like the status quo.
Yeah,
and
it's like late 80s thrash as well. It's like everything from the when you have like late 80s thrash, it's like, oh, awesome, they're going fast again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because there's a fine line there, because you can either think that's whack if a band is like not doing it properly and you're like, these guys are just rip off artists, or you can think it's great and think it's like if they do it well, it's like a homage in a way, and you don't get mad at it because they're like continuing the thrash thing or bringing it to a new audience, and it's like you can tell that there's an authenticism there. It's a fine line though.
Like Power Trip.
Yeah, like Iron Reagan or like those cross.
Yeah, I think it like you were saying, it's definitely a fine line, and it's hard to say like what's quote unquote better or worse, but and it's all up to opinion, which is totally fine. But yeah, I always love like the weird little like, I guess, intricacies of those bands and we've kind of touched on this, like I was going to say, is like you kind of need those bands that are kind of, I hate to use this word, but generic, in order for when the band that is not generic comes around, you have a litmus test of like, oh, there's this, and then there's like, holy fuck, there's this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. A little extra something on the sandwich there.
Yeah. You got some jalapenos on your ham sandwich.
Oh, slow down there, dude. I don't know if I'd go that far.
So besides Pantera and Metallica, what were like maybe a couple other albums that like got you a little more, or maybe actually let's actually I'm gonna reel that back. Sorry. Let's talk about some recent stuff. What are some recent things that you're listening to that maybe, I don't want to say influence you, but like some stuff that you're into that like you're kind of like vibing off of?
Well, I think one of my favorites this year so far has been the new Pallbearer record. That seems like some people are kind of split on it. People don't like how it like produced it is, but
I like it.
I really like it. And those dudes are just awesome guys. We got to play a show with them a couple years back, and they're really nice dudes, and I've liked everything they've done, but this new record, Heartless, they did is just like fantastic to me. I've probably listened to it like 50 times. I think the production is like perfect for what they do. There's a lot of clarity to like the movement of the riffing, but it also has this like crushing heaviness to it, kind of a hard balance to achieve, but I think they did it pretty well. And then just the songs are great for me. And then go ahead.
That record, I didn't really know what to expect when it first came out, because I only listened to like the first couple songs that they released, and then the record came out and I listened to it and I was like completely fucking blown away after that point, like you were saying, and I was like, damn man, this is one of those bands that like I've seen them live and they were loud and awesome at the same time. And I had a great experience seeing them live, and it's funny because Ember has seen them live here, and she was like, they were garbage, they were terrible, like they sounded like shit, and I was like, wait, are we talking about the same band right now? And she sticks by it, and I believe her 100%. Like, you know, it's probably just one of those like off nights. You know, bands. You know, you're in a band. Bands have those nights where they're just fucking off. Like, it's the sound, it's the venue, it's whatever. And I was like, no, trust me. Like, this band is good. Like, they're really good. The harmonies and the melodies that they put into the songs translate so well live, and it just always sounds so crisp and clean. And she was like, yeah, it didn't sound like that at all. And I was like, fuck, you got gypped. You got gypped.
Yeah, I really did. I've seen them multiple times. They're always fantastic. And yeah, like you said, I think they translate, like a lot of their records are very layered and like,
oh, absolutely.
Not overproduced, but produced in a way that pays attention to detail, which, you know, sometimes can get lost in the live setting, but they're a very good live band. So yeah, other stuff I've been into, the new Ruins of Beverest album is really kicking my ass. I really love that band, and just in the last few years, they've been putting out their best stuff by far. The last record they did, Blood Vaults, was my favorite album of, I think that was 2013. Whenever it was a few years ago, but that's a fucking great record. But this new one, Exivia, is fantastic. It's got this whole like dark tribal element to the Funeral Doom that they do. That's like, it's really fucking unsettling and cool sounding, and long album. It's about like 70 minutes long, I think. So there's a lot to get into. I just got my copy in the mail on vinyl double LP, so I've been listening to that a lot. So I definitely recommend that, Ruins of Beverest.
Yeah, I remember listening to that when it came out, and I hate to say it, but I wasn't in the right mindset, so I kind of like tuned out, and I was like, I'll come back to this later. So I didn't give that album a chance. So like they're actually playing a show here next month, I want to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to that because I do want to see them live, and I do enjoy them. But I think I don't know what it was, but for whatever reason, like when that came out, I was just like, I don't want to listen to this right now. You know, and it has nothing to do with like the album. It's probably just like my mood at the time, because, you know, mood dictates music a lot of times. I'm sure you guys can agree with that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. This their stuff is very like dark, and I get what you're saying, man. Because not every time, but I find some of the best times to listen to Ruins is in the dark when I've just smoked a lot of weed. Like, and the layering that they take you to on their songs is like some deep dark shit. And I don't know, man. I just love that band. I saw them recently live. They played Oakland Death Fest in October, and it's usually a solo project, but the dude now is playing live, so he has some dudes from like the Germany metal scene with him filling out his band, and they're great. So yeah, definitely go see them if they're playing Seattle for sure.
Yeah, I know for sure though. I fucking love that album cover that they have. That's a really like legit as fuck album cover. Yeah. Their artwork is cool. It's very esoteric. Yeah.
Yeah. Other stuff. The new Volure is really good. I like that. Kind of like tribal, like sort of folky doom stuff, but not in the Sabbath way. Like a very sort of almost spiritual doom type of approach. Their new record's great. That's like the best thing about working for Decibel for me is I get to hear all these records not only ahead of time, but like some stuff that I just wouldn't have known to check out. And so I get to hear a lot of cool stuff that way. But yeah, that's kind of the stuff I've been into recently.
Nice. Yeah, it's good. I like hearing like the, you know, what started and where you're at now kind of thing too. And so with that said, I know you're in a couple different bands, but with Cormorant specifically, you guys are about to put out a new album. Not that I want to say that you like listen to that stuff and like try to play that stuff, but how much of that does kind of like, you're like, you're into it and you're like, oh, that'd be cool to play, but like how much of that kind of carries over a little bit at least?
You talking about the records that I listen to?
Yeah. Or is it just completely different, like has no bearing whatsoever?
I don't think anyone gets away with being influenced by the stuff they listen to. I think that's just natural, especially if you listen to a lot of music. And I listen to a lot of different music. I don't just listen to metal all day long,
Yeah.
I like, but like I'm really excited to go see Roger Waters in 2 weeks. He's playing in San Jose. I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan.
Oh, hell yeah, me too.
Going to see Nick Cave soon. I love Nick Cave.
Oh my God, I love Nick Cave so much.
Yeah, Australia's own, right, Matt?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, and the guys in my band are the same way. Everyone is listening to different stuff. We just went down to see Candlemass last night, which was amazing. And Nick was playing some I think it was like Alan Jackson or some fucking country shit. I was like, all right, well, whatever. So we all are influenced because we're, I think as a musician, it's important to have your mind open at all times, especially in metal, because it's such a expansive genre. As long as you kind of stick to the aesthetic that we've all kind of agreed is metal, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Like you can incorporate shit that's totally left field. Have you guys heard Zeal and Ardor?
No,
because I have.
It's a black metal band, but they incorporate slave music, traditional African American, working on the railroad slave music. And the dude is black, the guy who writes all the music. It's a really weird and interesting combination. You should definitely check it out. That's another great record that came out this year. Anyway, so what was the question? Oh yeah, the records. So not to a degree where we're writing a song and I say, okay, what would be cool is if we did a funeral doom part here like Ahab, and then we went into a enslaved part or something like that. Sometimes we'll identify the riffs that we play and call it the enslaved riff just because it kind of reminds us of that, but it's never a thing where we set out to do that. It's just kind of a natural thing that happens when I'm thinking of riffs and thinking of cool things that I want to hear. Obviously, there's going to be little bits and pieces that have stuck from all the different, hundreds of thousands of hours of music I've listened to over my life.
Yeah.
It's never a thing that's planned out. There were a couple parts on this new record where we kind of wanted to do a more of a psychedelic black metal thing like Oranzi Pazuzu, and we were very we were very aware that that's what we were going for, just because they have a very distinct psychedelic layering sound that they do, and we kind of wanted to achieve something similar in one of the parts on one of the new songs. But other than that, it's just always Cormorant, just whatever goes.
So how long have you guys been writing for this record specifically?
It's been about 2.5 or 3 years actually. We went on tour in 2000. What year is it? 17?
17, yeah. It's getting up there.
Yeah, so we went on tour in 2015 for our record that we put out, Earth Diver, which was in 2014. So right after we were playing one of the songs on this album on that tour. So I guess that was 2 years ago. Okay. So it's been probably 2.5, 3 years.
So over that 2 years, you guys just kept writing stuff, and when you went into the studio to record, did you have everything ready to go, or was it we still need to kind of work on stuff, let's figure this out in the studio, or was it just that's it, we're done, let's just go record?
No, we were very much let's go record and get it done. As I'm sure you know, in the studio, time is money. Yeah. And we're an independent band, and we have been since the beginning. We have no record deal, so we have no money coming in besides the money that we get from selling our records to fans and our personal money that we have as people and that we've earned as a band from touring and stuff. So once you get into the studio, it's fucking all business, man. You got to lay it down. But we do extensive demo work ourselves. Nick and Brennan and Marcus, actually. Really, the only one that's not adept at recording technology is me. But luckily, I have those three dudes. So we record everything in depth before we get to an actual studio. We record the drums at our rehearsal space, and then we either record everything else, the guitars and the bass live, or we will like overdub some stuff, and then we'll just knock out vocals like in Brennan's bedroom, usually just set up a little vocal booth. And that way we can really tell like what we need to do layer wise in the studio, what like little touches we can put on at certain parts. We have Jackie from Giant Squid and other bands playing cello on the record, on this new record. And we heard which part we wanted her to be on based on the demos that we were doing for one of the songs. We were like, okay, this section, from this section here, that's where the cello should go. And we weren't totally sure before we demoed it out and listened to it. So that part is really beneficial for us. We're able to kind of have the songs as finished products in a way before we go into the actual studio where, you know, where it's supposed to get bigger and be a little more, you know, professional. So that's how we've always done it that way, and that's how we did it for this one.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are coming up on basically like 10 years of being a band, so I would assume at this point you guys have everything like down as far as like you're writing, what's the word? Your writing process, yeah, writing process, recording process. Like you guys know what you want to do and what you want to get out of it, you know, at this point, right?
Yeah, it is 10 years this year. I joined in 2008, so it's been 9 years for me. But
okay.
Yeah, the band has been around. This is the 10-year anniversary. Yeah, and we, you know, it's a lot of it is trial and error. We found, like, when we did our first record, Metazoa, with Billy Anderson, we went in there and threw the kitchen sink at that album, and like a lot of people really like it, and it's, you know, definitely like we stand by that album. We love that album too, but we learned a lot about like what to do in a recording studio and like how to make efficient use of your time and how to make efficient use of songs. We learned a lot about like wrapping ourselves up, which is funny to say because this new album has the longest songs we've ever done. There's a 26-minute song on there.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah. But in terms of making it trimming fat, I guess I would say, we learned a lot about trimming fat on that album. And we would that's the only way we found out about that is by getting in the studio and recording it and being like, oh, okay. So it's stuff like that. Over the years, we've learned what works best for us, and that's what we do.
I mean, I know you guys have that legendary kind of, I guess I wouldn't call it an internet post, but it is on a couple websites about like the record deal thing. I have read that extensively, like, you know, even before, like when I was touring with a band, it was just kind of like a thing that popped up and I was like, oh, what's this? Like, you know, and reading it and just seeing all the bullshit that a lot of bands have to go through. Yeah. How are you guys still able to do what you do besides like the passion for the band? And you know, I will say this too, is like you guys don't do the crowdfunding thing, which is kind of awesome, I have to say, because I feel like every band fucking just immediately jumps to the crowdfunding thing, and it's kind of annoying at this point.
Yeah, we did the crowdfunding thing with Earth Diver with the last one, but it wasn't.
And that's fair. I'm not saying it's a bad thing by any means. Like, I get why it has to be done, but I feel like it's so prevalent nowadays. It's like, you guys are like, you know.
It kind of depends on what your situation is. Like for us, we've all been like a direct-to-fan band. That's how we like built our name, and that's how we've kind of existed over this whole time because we have never signed a record contract. We had our albums come out on vinyl on Blood Music, but that was a licensing deal. Those records already existed. So for us, it's all about just the connection with the people who actually consume our music. And for the last record, the best way for us to, you know, fund the actual getting out of the product was to go straight to them. We didn't really think of it as like a crowdfunding, we treat it like a pre-order. Like, here's what we need to actually physically make this happen. Like, it costs a fuckload of money to print. We just did order of 500 vinyls for this new one, and that shit is fucking no joke when it comes to paying for that. But at the same time, it's like, we don't need like. We're not in the business of like begging for something, or like I know what you mean. A lot of bands, it seems like they're like, come on, dude, just like you can figure this out. Yeah. But for us, it's really about like, listen, we know you want this, we want to get it out, so let's come to a agreement, and you give us some capital, and we'll put the thing out, and that's how we'll do it. So it's worked for us in the past, but this one we're doing just as a straight pre-order because we were able to finance it ourselves from money we've earned as with the band over the last couple of years. So
I think a lot more bands would be successful if they weren't, like I get that a lot of bands do want to make money doing this, and that's perfectly okay. But I think I will have to say this, and I hope it doesn't ruffle feathers, but I think the biggest case of why this really irks me is with the band Protest the Hero.
Oh, I was just about to say that. Fuck.
Yeah. They made like well over $100,000 like on all their like GoFundMe stuff that they did for their last couple albums. And that seems excessive to me. I don't know any band that needs over $100,000 to record an album, because that's all they wanted the money for, was just to record. Didn't have anything to do with like merch or getting the album out. Like they had a record company.
Because like they think it was the second album they put out. They did that whole now we're going like onto the GoFundMe thing, and then they just signed with like Century Records for like a distribution deal.
Yeah,
which is like, just go sign with them for the recording deal then.
Yeah, and it kind of like it takes one over on the fans, and it kind of bothers me when bands do that kind of stuff. But when it's like you guys, or the last one that I was like totally on board for was the Misery Signals record that came out, the last one, it was totally like all out of their pockets. They only needed enough to record. Like it wasn't like any extra kind of money, and it was a pretty reasonable price that they were asking for. And I was just like, that's cool. But when you're fucking Protest the Hero and like a lot of people like you guys, and you need over $100,000, like get the fuck out of here. Like you're just ripping off your fans at that point.
Yeah. We definitely never want to get into that territory. Everything we've ever done with that is to break even, basically. It's
that's perfectly fine. And then like the thing that gets me is like people paid that money, so it's like whatever. Like I can't stop the people from paying that money, and that's cool that people do want to pay that money to support the band. I totally am like behind the supporting the band thing, but it's like, damn, that's a lot of money. You guys don't need that much to record that album. Yeah.
Although, what could Cormorant do with $100,000?
Yeah. What could you guys do with $100,000? I want to know that too. That's good.
Well, here in the Bay Area, we could buy a really shitty house.
God, $100,000 here, it wouldn't even get you a half a bathroom.
Oh.
Well, that sounds pretty similar, actually.
Yeah.
I don't know. We've always wanted to tour extensively. Every tour we've ever done is super DIY. Well, except for we toured with Primordial one time, and that was pretty awesome on the East Coast. But if we had $100,000, we'd go overseas, including Matt's Australia there.
That's correct.
That's where the money's at, dude. I'm not gonna lie. Like, people in Europe fucking love metal, and people will go to shows even if they've never heard of your band. Like, people just love concerts over there.
Yeah, you know what? And the good thing about one of the good things about being so DIY like we are is we have like extensive analytics of who is listening to us over the last 10 years and who gives us money and who buys our stuff. And like 50% of it is Europe. We have like a huge following on the internet, which is kind of how the band started. Like, we're a Bay Area band, so we're known around here, but we're not like some huge draw around here. No one is like going out of their way to see us. Like, we'll open for bigger bands, and like we'll headlines. We're doing a headlining set in a couple weeks in San Francisco, but for the most part, we exist as like an internet band, for a lack of a better term. Like, people who have never seen us, who think they're never going to see us in like, France and England and Germany and stuff. So I would love to go over there and tour for, extensive amount of time.
Yeah, I think you guys would benefit from that like quite extensively. Not just maybe not monetarily. It would be pretty expensive, but like just the exposure. I think you guys would benefit like really, really well from that. I hope you guys really get over there too. That'd be fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely one of our goals. We've talked about it, so hopefully we can make it happen. We're all getting older, so it's like at a certain point you got to like make this shit happen before real life takes over.
Yeah. What's funny is I was thinking about this earlier, and I'm wondering if this is possible. But so when I was touring around like a lot of the Bay Area, I feel like you guys probably opened or played like on a tour package that I was like, when I was like doing merch and stuff or whatever. Like I'm pretty sure you guys played on one of the shows that we were at in the Bay Area, but I'm not entirely sure. Like, did you guys ever play a show with like Carnifex or like when they were on a package, not necessarily them by themselves, but I swear to God, I've like seen you guys or something. Like
it's over the years we've we're in the right area for that. Like the Bay Area is obviously one of the stops you make when you're on a national tour.
Yeah.
And the type of music that we do is kind of like, we can play with a wide variety of metal bands. We're not like a straight death metal band. We're not a straight black metal band. We're not a straight doom band. We have elements of all of these things, so we can be put on different shows and not feel out of place.
Yeah.
So we've definitely done a lot of different stuff over the years and opening for packages and stuff, but I don't remember Carnifex.
I mean, that's fair. I just feel like for sure, like I've either seen you guys or like you guys were on a show that we did or something, but it's so hard to remember like that stuff, especially like the year, how many years it's been.
Yeah, I have to look at old flyers sometimes to remember like, oh yeah, Death Heaven opened for us one time. That's right.
Oh shit. That's fucking insane.
Which is true.
Oh, I believe you.
I was like, who are these kids? They look like fucking, they just rolled out of like prep school and then they just started playing crazy black metal. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Gosh, I feel like I had such a varying experience. I've only got to see one Death Heaven song ever live, and whereas like Australia, Matt has gotten to see them in like the fucking Australia.
Like the Sydney Opera House. They were playing about this time last year. About this time of last year or 2 years ago, they played at the Opera House. No one fucking plays at the Opera House. Like it was just them. It was all seating. I was like, because they came out here. We have like this crazy light festival called Vivid, where they just light up the entire city with like, like all bright colors and all that kind of stuff at night. And they came out there for that kind of thing. Like they had this crazy kind of light show going on. Like it was in like this room where like the Sydney Symphony Orchestra normally plays, and it was just absolutely on like another level.
Yeah, it's been kind of surreal to see how big they've gotten, based on where they came from. But it's rad, man. I love when local bands break out. No one's really done it to that extent that I've known, but it's pretty cool to see them doing their thing like around the world,
Yeah, I know they're quite polarizing. That's for damn sure. But I enjoy the fuck out of it. I don't care.
Yeah, same here.
They're nice guys too. So like I have no problem with it anytime. I get it. People like to talk shit, especially when people are really popular. But they're nice dudes, and I like some of their stuff. So fucking go Death Heaven.
So I guess I know you're on limited time here, just to kind of, I guess, take us out. Let's talk about the new record. Whatever you want to kind of tell us about it. Let's go into it. I want to hear about it.
Yeah, it's called Diaspora. The release date is August 11th, and we are excited about it. We recorded in November, so it's a little while ago. We were wrapped up in a contract negotiation thing that didn't pan out, so that took off a couple months. But right now we're full on manufacturing mode. I actually have test pressings of the vinyl downstairs that I need to listen to this weekend.
Oh shit!
So we got
neat.
Yeah, it's coming out on double LP, CD, and digital formats. we're doing it all ourselves. We have distribution actually this time around, which we normally don't have distribution deals, but we have one this time with War Crime Recordings, and they did the last Yakuza album, and Bruce Lamont, I think, is a co-owner of it from Yakuza. Could be wrong about that, but they're based out of Chicago. Steve Joe from that's his label. So yeah, we recorded in Oakland with Greg Wilkinson at Earhammer Studios. He's a great dude who is like a East Bay legend. He's worked with everybody, mostly like super fucking crusty Oakland death metal bands in recent years, like Mortuous. He's doing the new Mortuous and like Vastum.
Yeah, that was the one that came to my mind, was Vastum for sure. I was like, oh.
Yeah. And he plays in Brain Oil, which is a really cool band, and Deathgrave. Anyway, so he's like a really connected underground dude, and we had a great time with him. We recorded over the span of 4 weeks, so we were doing like 4 days on, and then we would go back to work, and then we would do like 3 days on, go back to work, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's 4 songs, 61 minutes, so super long material.
Holy shit.
Yeah, like I said before, the closing song is called Migration, for good reason. It's 26 minutes long, and it's not like a slow, like one riff for 10 minutes type of 26 minutes. It's like a whole fucking thing that took us
make use of that time.
What's that?
Yeah. Actually, fill the 26 minutes with 26 minutes of song.
Exactly. Yeah, and we've been playing it live for a couple years. I think I mentioned earlier we were playing it on that tour that we went on in 2015. So it's actually been we've had a lot of time to kind of grow it and make it into an interesting piece of music that's not like. I mean, obviously, I'll never know because I'm so close to it, but like I don't feel 26 minutes when I play it or listen to it. It feels like a kind of like a. The way I think about it in those terms is I'm a huge fan of like the 70s prog stuff, like Yes and Rush, and some of my favorite Yes songs are fucking 24 minutes long, and it's basically like a musical odyssey. And if you're into that sort of thing, which I am, it's so cool because you can listen to it so many times and pick out certain things and like pay more attention to certain sections that are in the middle and sort of let yourself drift off after like the 20th time you've heard it. So we like the long form. We've always had kind of long form songs. We always have at least like a couple 10-minute songs on all of our albums, but this time we really went full on long form with the composition. And I don't know, it's just where we're at right now. It's what's interesting to us. That's just how it happened when we were writing the music. We just kept wanting to like add on to this section and add this and bring this section back and tie it into this section and stuff like that. That's where we're at compositionally. All 4 of us are on the same page with that. So yeah, long songs. The second longest is like 17 minutes. So it's a long record, but we think it's interesting to listen to. So.
No, I definitely agree that like if a song is composed well and it's like 20 minutes long, it doesn't bother me. Like I'm down. Like it's going to be a journey from start to finish, and that's like the fun of it, Yeah,
and I feel like people are used to that with us by now. Anyway, if they're fans of our band, they know that this is not out of like left field for us. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of like the next step logically. Like, oh yeah, here they go with the 26-minute song. But who knows if we'll do that again in the future? But yeah, we had fun. That was a weird one to record because we record everything live basically because we just have found over the years that approach works best for us instead of like tracking the drums to a click track. We're very much like a unit band where we all play off of each other, and we've been playing together for so long. Marcus, our bass player, is like the newest guy in the band, and he's been in for 4 or 5 years now. But Nick and Brennan and I have been playing together for a decade, so we have like a very special relationship when it comes to playing. So we like to record live so we can capture that, because we spend so much time on, rehearsing and preparing these songs that we feel that that's the best representation of us, is playing it all live. And then you can, add stuff on top of it and make it sound like a record. But for us, it's important to have that like human element to the playing. Mm-hmm. So recording a 26-minute song when you're looking at the clock, figuring out how much more time you have left in the studio day is like very kind of challenging. But we got it done. I think we only played it like 4 times until we got a take that we wanted.
That's not bad. And I agree with you. I do enjoy the sound more on a record when the band is playing everything live together, as opposed to a track where everything's overdubbed and over rehearsed and like pitch shifted, and it's a little bit fake. I know that's not like the correct word, but you can tell the difference though.
I think it depends on like what the style is too. Like a band like Between the Buried and Me, you would never want to hear. Like they're a great band live, but you have to have that type of precision when you record. It has to be like that shit has to be to a click track, and it has to be all clean, because they have such insane like progressive tendencies. And they're a great live band too. They could do it, but it's just when you listen to the album, you can tell that it's probably better off that they played to a click track. But for us, we've tried it, man, and it just doesn't work. Like sometimes we need the click to keep us on a tempo. Like this 26-minute song has a really long Funeral Doom opening that has to be like a specific type of slow. Yeah. And, the tendency is to kind of speed up a little bit as you play. At least for us, naturally, it just kind of happens. So we had to have a click track for the opening for that, just to stay on the tempo. But other than that, we just play.
Awesome, man. That's cool that you guys do it that way. I know not every band can do it that way. Not every band wants to do it that way, but I enjoy hearing that much more than, just everything being overproduced. Personally, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. It's a personal preference. That's what's great about music. You can take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't like an album, just drop it and forget it ever existed. And
just move on. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, it happens all the time to me. Like, I'll not listen to something because I think it sucks, and then later we'll hear it again and like it again. Like, what the fuck happened there? People's tastes change sometimes, and
that happens to me all the time.
And I think that's great. That's like what a blessing that is to not have not lose.
Obviously, it's rigid and stuck in your ways, and quite frankly, to be proven wrong.
Yeah, you got to be humble to a certain extent when you're listening to metal, because it's really easy to slip into that elitism thing. That's a real problem, I feel like, in this genre, where people
of course
get real high and mighty about what you should and shouldn't be listening to. And as a musician, and as a fan of music, and as a person who believes in the power of music and the importance of music, I have no room in my life for that. I feel like you should listen to whatever the fuck you want. If it tickles your fancy, then fucking play it loud, man.
That is one of the biggest points that we try to get across in this podcast. So that's fucking awesome that you're on the same page. You want that same mentality out there, because I completely agree. I think there's so much awesome music out there that it's so fucking dumb to just sit there and be like, oh, this is the only kind of music that matters. And no, it doesn't.
Just stay in your little silo. Like, nah, mate, we're not doing that.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, people want to be part of teams, they don't like people like come in from the outside and disrupt their team. But I don't want to live my life like that,
I will say the one that I get shit for the most, one band that I've tried over and over and over again to like really get into and really listen to, that I just, for whatever reason, it's not my thing, is Bolt Thrower.
Manowar.
No, not Manowar.
You don't like Bolt Thrower?
No, I don't know what it is, man. Like I realize it's like really good death metal, but man, I don't know what it is. I just can't get into Bolt Thrower.
Yeah, that's fine. You got to turn in your metal card after this episode. But,
Shit. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening to Heavy Metal History Podcast. I'm out. This is the last episode you're ever going to hear me on.
Dustin doesn't like Bolt Thrower.
Shit.
I can see it on Blabbermouth tomorrow.
Oh God, you're gonna get absolutely reamed in those comments.
Nah, I mean, it's like, people don't like things. I can rattle off a million things that people like that I don't like. I don't understand Radiohead, That doesn't mean...
I don't understand Radiohead either.
Hey, both of you, hey.
I wanted to do
What's
a
that?
really, really bad impression, but I'm going to spare the listeners right now because, there's enough Radiohead in this world.
Yeah, I mean, I recognize that they're a huge band for a reason, but who cares? But that's where I come back to. Who cares?
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
fucking-
Yeah, and it's like I like Radiohead, and I'm not gonna like fucking beat you guys over the head until you like it. It's like that's fine.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
cool. We can go about our business. Yeah.
Same way I'm not going to give you shit for listening to Radiohead. I understand why they're good. I just don't want to listen to it.
Yeah, I feel like my perspective of that is shaped by the fact that I am in a band and I see people talk shit about my band, and I kind of you have to that shit comes with the territory. Anytime you put art out for people to see, someone's gonna talk some shit because that's just how we are. So there's that where I have to take that with a certain grain of salt because it can be kind of damaging when you put so much time and effort into something and someone just shits on it without a second chance, a moment's a second thought. But at the same time, I have to remind myself that, what I just said, music is a subjective form of art that what is awesome to someone is not going to be awesome to the next person. And also, writing for Decibel has really driven that point home, because I always think of whenever I don't like something and I have to write about it, I don't want to shit on it because I know how that feels and I know how counterproductive it is. If you're going to it's one thing to give a bad review. I gave a bad review recently to Ghost Bath because I don't understand that band. That
new album is way, way different from their last album. I'm kind of on the same page with that one. I didn't like it.
It sounds kind of like Blink-182 put through a black metal filter with a goat on vocals, a screaming goat.
Oh shit! Yeah, that's a good.
Anyway,
Yeah, just to say it sucks. It doesn't it's not constructive. It's you got to say why, and then not to say it sucks because it's got a goat on vocals. It's be a bit more positive about it.
Yeah, or constructive. Really, as a writer, I always want to give someone a fair shake, even though I don't like it, and I think negative criticism is important because you don't need to have your fucking hand held when you're an artist and have everyone tell you how great you are. That's how you get a Kanye West ego.
Ugh.
So it's important for people to fucking bring you back down to reality because dude, Ghost Bath has tons of fans. They're touring the world right now. It doesn't matter what the fuck I say about their record. Someone in buttfuck Arkansas really loves it and it speaks to them deeply inside them, and I understand that, and I am happy when people write to us and tell us that we've had that kind of impact on their lives, because it's kind of surreal to think about some riffs that I wrote with my friends, and put together into this song and wrote these lyrics that were about whatever, have impacted somebody I've never met halfway across the world, and that's a really cool feeling. So I always try to remember that when I'm shitting all over bands like Ghost Bath. These are just dudes playing music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree. I think that's what any artist wants, is to just know that they've reached out to somebody out there with whatever they've made. I think that's the most important thing. And sure, people are going to shit on it, and that sucks, but it comes with the territory.
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, we write music and play music because we want to.
Yeah.
So it's just a awesome added bonus that people are listening to it and responding to it. First and foremost, it comes down to playing music, and I think that's what it should be for any artist.
Yeah, I agree. There's been a lot of times, man, where I've seen bands, on the road where they're you can tell that they're trying to cater to fans like a little too much and not really worrying about the integrity of the music that they want to write, and they're worried about more like what their record label wants them to write or what the fans want them to write. And it's like, who fucking cares? Just write what you guys want to write. Isn't that why you got into this in the first place?
It should be, but then then you get into like
yeah.
Suicide Silence territory.
Yeah. Dude, I've been trying to get Eddie on this show since we started this, because I know him pretty decently, and I've really wanted to pick his brain about this recent record, and like, it's not a terrible record, but it's not a great record. It's just kind of got pieces of good parts.
Yeah, there's look deep down in there. There's a really good record.
Yeah.
You got to go looking for it, but it's really good. And there's parts of it really, really good, and there's parts of it that are just kind of there, and it's so unfortunate as well, because it really did have the direction where I listened to it, and like where I saw them going with it, and the direction that I saw them going. It's like that could be really cool. Just give it another go.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, you got to let artists grow into what they're going to become. Like, I was watching some documentary the other day, and I think it was Styx. Styx had 6 albums before they hit. Yeah, so they had 6 goddamn records before they hit with "Come Sail Away," which was like their first like huge hit.
Holy shit!
Can you imagine a label right now letting a band suck for 6 albums and then being like, "Okay, here we go, 7th album, you're gonna start making money"? Like, that shit is over. That'll never happen again.
Yeah,
like,
not even close.
Yeah. And the Eagles were the same way. The Eagles didn't really hit until like a couple albums in. Like Tom Petty. A lot of these dudes grow into what they're going to become. They don't like just come out of the gates with like a fucking amazing record. Sometimes it does happen, but like, you got to let these people find their way sometimes. And unfortunately, the industry has changed to an extent where that's not possible because there's not enough money to throw around like that. So a band like Suicide Silence is trying to like fuck around and do something new, and they end up like kind of missing the mark, and like they're just ridiculed by everybody on the internet, and everyone fucking hates them for it.
Which is unfortunate, because you're right, they did try something new and it didn't work out in their favor, but at least they tried. A lot of bands would not sacrifice that that record to just try something. They wouldn't do that. They would be like, oh, we're just gonna do the same thing, or we're gonna just go in this direction. And I mean, like I said, hats off to them for at least trying something. That's more than a lot of bands would do. And, it is what it is.
Yeah, man. I mean, I get it. That's what our whole band Cormorant is all about, just trying shit. Like, none of our stuff sounds like our other stuff. Songs, like, vary from song to song, and that's what a lot of people like about us, and then some people don't like that about us. They like, they don't like how much we jump around in between genres per se. But, for us, it's like, it's all about just trying shit and creating music that is interesting for us as the people who, play it and write it. And hopefully that interest translates to people who listen to it.
So when does the Polka album drop?
Well, we're working on it now. I got to tune up my accordion a little more. It's been giving me problems.
You guys been getting any input from Weird Al at all?
He's the silent partner.
Fuck. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on again. I'm stoked to hear about everything with your band, and the fact that you guys are putting out a new record, and I'm obviously we're gonna link to all that stuff in the show notes and everything. Any last thing you want to tell people at all?
Just thanks for having me again. Great to talk to you guys. We're going to open pre-orders for the album soon. Not sure when this will drop, but second week of June. Okay. So second week of June, we'll be opening pre-orders for this record that comes out in August. So look out for that. We'll have some, our PR person will be spreading the word about that. And that'll be through our Bandcamp page, which is easy to find. It's just cormorant.bandcamp.com. So check that out. We have all of our other records up there for free download. You can download the audio file if you want, or order the CD from us, order a T-shirt, whatever you want. And that's it. August 11th, Diaspora.
August 11th. I think.
Fantastic, mate. Can't wait to hear it.
Isn't that my girlfriend's birthday? I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't know. It's your girlfriend.
I know. I'm terrible. She's going to hate me when she listens to this. Man, when that comes out, we will absolutely share all those links and make sure like our listeners get to that, because that's fucking important, and we want to support the fuck out of you guys.
Yeah, right on, guys. Thanks a lot.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming on again, and we're going to have you on again soon. I know it, because it's always fun as fuck when we have you on.
Yeah, I'm ready. Anytime you want to talk about Bolt Thrower.
Hey, man, to be fair, like, I don't like hate Bolt Thrower. It's just like when I listen to it, I'm just kind of like, I've heard this before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's because I came to Bolt Thrower after like all the other death metal that I had heard. It just wasn't new to me.
Dude, Bolt Thrower runs over all other death metal.
I believe you. I'm not going to debate it. I believe anybody who fucking likes Bolt Thrower. I'm sure it's, maybe I'll get into it in like 2 years. Who knows?
Maybe. Try it out.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's whatever. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the podcast. I don't know what we have. I don't know what we have coming up. You can find us all
on the iTunes, yeah?
Yeah, iTunes. Thank you. Oh, I will say thank you to all the new listeners or people that have just kind of jumped on board, or even those of you that have been with us since the beginning. We've surpassed all of our previous month's downloads, and it's fucking awesome because we're just trying to get this thing bigger and bigger all the time. I'm fucking stoked for that. It means a lot to me. I'm sure it means a lot to Matt. I can't wait to... Us. Yeah, I just can't wait to
honestly,
do more
thank
things. You. And yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Follow us on social media. Matt, tell everybody where we're at.
Yeah, so you can find us on Twitter at Heavy Metal Pod. I believe our Instagram page should just be Heavy Metal History, as with our Facebook page as well. We do have a website. I think it's heavymetalhistorypodcast.com.
Yep.
And that should have all the links to our shows and past shows as well. So really look forward to hearing from you guys. If you have any feedback, questions, let us know. And until then, cheers, cunts.